Hey, what's up, YouTube fam? Today, we're diving into an epic story of betrayal, revenge, and survival in a magical fantasy world. Meet Hansu Kang and his classmates, all ready to become heroes when they get whisked away by a goddess. But when Hansu decides he's not down to risk his life for a world he doesn't even belong to, that goddess pulls a sneaky move and leaves him stranded in the forest. With the help of a loner god, he's taking on this hostile new world, earning some seriously powerful blessings along the way. He's on a mission for revenge against that shady goddess who did him dirty. Strap in, folks, because this journey's about to get wild. The story begins at a gloomy place where some goddess welcomes the heroes to the world of Fantasia. The class summoned to this odd place is shocked, as their phones are dead. They wonder what on earth has just occurred, which took them to this outlandish place only when their teacher stepped out of the class for a few brief minutes. Standing on the clouds, the students are puzzled that all of their phones are dead, even those which they had brought fully charged. The goddess explains the crisis, the Demon King's resurrection, which propelled her to summon the students in this world. She assures their role in saving Fantasia. Some students doubt, but one realizes fantasy stories are real. The goddess further adds that they will soon be transported to a temple in Fantasia where a saintess will welcome them, tasked to provide them emotional and material support in this new world. Owen Han-woo musters the courage and asks about game-like elements. She confirms the fantasy setting to Jang Mayan, who's delighted by the revelation. Choi Gaiman wonders if the most remarkable person becomes a hero. She clarifies that only some are chosen by the gods. Impressed by the clarification, Choi Gaiman thanks her, and she encourages his confidence. Kang Hansu is annoyed by this interaction and wonders if the goddess treats them differently based on how they appear before her. Yubora, the class president, voices concerns about their sudden disappearance to the goddess, acknowledging their world's danger. However, she also understands that their sudden disappearance would have undoubtedly caused anxiety to their parents and inquiries about the possibility of contacting their parents. The goddess explains that they cannot communicate with them. However, if they can defeat the demon lord, they will be granted a wish by the gods. Many students eagerly ask questions while the goddess maintains a smile, patiently answering each one. Kang Han-soo interrupts the discussion and comes out with a request to return to Earth, expressing reluctance to be a hero in this very world. The goddess, intrigued by his wish, questions why he is so eager to go back. She tells him that a world with many lives is in danger of ending, so why does he want to ignore that and return to his everyday life? In return, Kang explains that his family worries about him and how he can save this world, leaving his family anxious on Earth. Then she comes closer and asks for his name. He says he's Kang Han-soo, a name given by his parents after much contemplation. The goddess then asks if anyone like him doesn't want to be a hero. However, no one speaks up. She tells Kang Han-soo that he is not worthy of staying among the great heroes and sends him back. Everyone starts shouting, asking him to inform their parents. He enters a teleportation circle and finds himself in a jungle, far from school. But just when he's about to enter the jungle, he senses a presence behind, and when he turns back, chills run down his spine as he comes across a monster approaching with an injured elf in its grip. The beast sees him as prey and starts chasing him. Kang Han-soo follows his instincts and runs for his life, though he is certain that this place is not Earth at all. On the other hand, the remaining students now arrive in the sanctuary city of Prologina with a flash and are greeted by the goddess. As she enters the hall, the students, now heroes, forget to shake their heads in awe at her beauty and her as a pretty handsome prince. The saintess then discloses that she has been waiting for their arrival after she had received an oracle from the goddess. Following her introduction, the prince welcomes the heroes. The prince introduces himself as the prince of the Swordmaster Kingdom of the North, Alsis Sword's master. Following the introduction, the saintess questions the maid about the princess and if she is late as usual. And bam, the door opens with a bang and the cute girl appears out of nowhere, apologizing to the saintess. She adds that the reason for her daily has been primarily due to drinking the previous night. However, while welcoming the heroes, the princess fails to maintain her posture and stumbles on the slippery floor. It is then revealed that the princess hails from the Archmazing Kingdom, which lies in the south of the temple. She has been tasked to support the new heroes alongside Prince Alsis, the Swordmaster Prince of the Swordmaster's Kingdom and instructor of heroes and swordsmanship. Meanwhile, with the conclusion of the introduction, the status windows appear before the heroes, displaying their stats, such as level and all. They can also see many things similar to the games, like improving their skills and leveling up. Ohan Han-woo understands the blessing clearly, however, he is uncertain of what the other attributes may mean. First, he checks the hero listed in the blessings section. It says that the language of hero-friendly races will be automatically translated and experience gained from hunting and achievements will be significantly increased. While automatic translation seems beneficial, unlimited experience gained would be like cheating. Many competitors get the same blessing. A student asks the saintess how they can receive God's blessing. To get it, they must win the favor of God. Each god has their preferences, but a particular god seems to favor the heroes with a strange smile. The student's screen is flooded with notifications. The saintess smiles. Each god has their standards, but they are all seeking someone to overthrow the great demon lord. The gods watch over the heroes, but attention isn't eternal. She prays that each of them will receive God's blessing. Someone asks what will happen if they don't get it. The saintess coldly responds, why would she care about the trash? And with this, in a fantasy world full of hopes and dreams, their adventure begins. On the other hand, Kang Hansu is still running for his life, with monsters chasing him. He contemplated that he would have been a little more cooperative with the goddess had he known that this would happen to him. He stops against a tree and his spear narrowly misses his head. It is clear that such creatures don't exist on Earth. The self-proclaimed goddess has deceived him with no intention of sending them back. His data appears on a screen categorized under a curse, likely by the goddess. He can't fathom such a punishment in a world governed by a game system where levels only increase through achievements. Attempting to communicate with monsters fails. The monsters are in no mood to talk before catching him. He has been continuously running from the monsters, and now he begins to slack, and the end begins to feel inevitable. He tiredly falls on his knees and apologizes to his parents for being a jerk all his life. But before the monster can lash at him, an arrow strikes his leg, revealing that there is someone else in the jungle too, who sees him and the monster both as a threat. As he sits beside a tree, the storming monsters almost ignore his presence and lash at the elves in front. Amidst a battle between fantasy factions, his injured leg hinders escape. He contemplates praying but refuses to acknowledge a deity represented by a deceptive goddess. Someone peers out from behind the tree where Kang is sitting and inquires about the reason. A particular god examines Kang's wound. The god questions why Kang is alone, to which Kang attributes it to the damned goddess, who has abducted a civilized human from Earth. Overwhelmed, Kang bursts into tears and begs to be saved, his body reacting quicker than his mind to the unfamiliar voice. Despite fearing this figure might be an ally of the damned goddess, he puts aside all fears and begs for rescue as the pain in his leg mounts. Kang asks if there are still gods who could help him. Instead of assisting, his words leave the god puzzled. However, the god confirms that there are no gods besides the one with him and considers their absence favorable for our injured hero. Kang then turns to the god and inquires if the other gods are outsiders. However, the god expresses unfamiliarity with the term outsider. Kang curses himself briefly for using Korean slang, which is meant for those who don't belong to a certain social circle. With a miserable experience with the goddess earlier, Kang fears that explaining the concept to the god may lead to further troubles, so he decides to cover it up. He describes an outsider as a lone wolf navigating the wilderness, a description that pleases the god. Thus, the god, rising confidently, turns to Kang and inquires if he is an outsider as well, which both frightens and emboldens Kang. Kang pleads with the god for help, sharing his story of survival and his desire for revenge against his classmates who had abandoned him. Despite feeling conflicted, the god decides to assist Kang. Using divine power, the god removes the arrow from Kang's leg, instantly relieving his pain. Kang is amazed by the god's intervention and feels a wave of relief. However, the status window warns Kang that if he attempts to leave the jungle, something really bad may happen to him. Although Kang is confused at first, he still accepts the conditions, realizing he will always be an outsider. With his injuries healed and his status reset, Kang resumes his desperate flight through the forest, easily outpacing the chasing monsters. His exhaustion disappears and he feels strangely calm amid the chaos. With God's blessing by his side, the tables have now turned. Kang has been running without exhaustion, and the monsters chasing him are getting tired, with their prey slipping out of their grasp. One of the monsters aims at Kang and strikes him with a stone. However, to his surprise, Kang stays unhurt and effortlessly continues his marathon run. When Kang reaches the edge of a cliff, torn between despair and determination, the god cautions him against jumping, knowing he won't survive the fall, and even coldly congratulates him. With the horde of monsters approaching, Kang now has a decision to make. He will either have to face the monsters or jump from the deadly cliff. With clear resolve, he turns to the monster and makes a shocking proposal. Kang addresses the monster and says that he understands there is not much food in the jungle to feed all the hungry mouths. Thus, he brings him a proposal. Whoever catches him first gets a delicious part of his body to boast about. As Kang proposes to the hungry monsters, they lash at him as if he is the last piece of meat for them. The obsessed creatures craving his flesh and attempting to grab him end up falling off the cliff with Kang. To his surprise, Kang miraculously survives the fall, though his body feels like it has been crushed to the core. Speculating that a deity admires his survival skills, he faces the Blue Lagoon Butcher, a level 3 monster. It is pretty surprising for him that he can even see their status windows as well. However, Kang quickly reacts and dispatches the monster effortlessly. The Saintess discusses levels and blessings as sources of gaining power and leveling up in this world, prompting Choi to seek divine favor. However, the Saintess reveals that earning the gods' blessing does not mean it's the end of the story. Despite bestowing them with the blessings, the gods keep them under watch, be it washing or doing their business. They are under surveillance every time. The Saintess cautions against judging gods by human standards, emphasizing the distinction between heroes and humans. One god advises them to ignore the godly presence around them. Another says they're not interested in anything vulgar with the heroes for crude entertainment, and a third, the wind god, compares it to breathing air for them. Ma Eun-jang rather thinks that these gods act like school leaders, favoring those they find more appealing. In response to her clear judgment, a particularly harsh god praises the girl for her statement. Checking her tally, she finds blessings from these gods and feels elated. Although nobody sees how this skill helps defeat the demon lord, the students aren't bothered. A fragrance emanates from Ma Eun-jang, hinting that it's a charm skill. Her body naturally emits an alluring scent, improving her chances with the opposite sex. The Saintess requests she cease using her charm blessing, but Ma Eun-jang doesn't know how to stop it. A pure-hearted goddess disapproves of impure actions, and as a result, a curse status appears on her window. She wonders if it's the devil's work. However, the Saintess explains that gods aren't limited to blessings. They can also impose curses on disliked heroes. None of the disciples knew this, as the Saintess was about to inform them. The girl faces her punishment, hate and damage, criticism, and suffering for dishonesty. The innocent goddess continues to observe while the male god seeks another. The Saintess then explains that curses and blessings persist until death, growing stronger with rank. And once a particular blessing or curse has been leveled up, it cannot be dropped back to the previous level. However, seeing the trembling face, the princess urges Ma Eun-jang not to lose hope, as blessings could counter curses and pain would diminish with increased strength. On the other hand, our hero is battling the monsters, caught in an intricate situation. Although he has gotten the better of a few monsters leveled above him, it has not reflected in his ranks. This impels Kang to question the outsider god. The god seems rather bored with Kang roaming around the jungle. He finds it useless and suggests doing something out of the ordinary instead. Hiding from the monster sniffing his flesh, Kang wonders if there are any chances of finding another human. However, with the presence of monsters everywhere, the odds of finding any related being are pretty bleak. Simultaneously, a particular god sends a message that the powerless outsider may die quietly as he cuts himself, alerting the monsters to the smell of blood. The monsters are looking for him everywhere. They can sense his presence but cannot really find where Kang is. On the other hand, Kang contemplates his keen desire to get out of this jungle and look for the human settlements. However, he is not sure which direction he must head to find the path leading to the outside world. Feeling more resilient and armed with a knife once held by the Blue Moon's butcher, he notices its sharp blade. Although this blade can only be used for stabbing, its super sharp blade is a reflection of why its previous owner was given the name of a butcher. Meanwhile, God prays for him, assuring him of survival. Amidst blurry vision, Kang cuts tree vines and crafts a makeshift pocket for the knife. He asks God if he knows about centrifugal force and binds a stone to the vine, spinning it to demonstrate science's power to the monsters. He has been leveling up for a while now, and it appears that with his force, he may end up falling with a swing if he continues for any longer, but the status window reassures him that he is blessed to recover from any point except for the death. While battling the monsters with a stone, Kang feels he's mastering the outsider's blessing, relieving him from minor concerns like cuts or fatigue. On top of that, as soon as his blessing activates, Kang feels less burdened and less fatigued. As he defeats them individually, he realizes the monster's strategy of wearing him out through dragging tactics. To his surprise, these ugly monsters are smarter than he thought. Just when the monsters think that they can now get their hands on Kang, he outsmarts them with a trick of his own, and the monsters end up falling on their faces before him. After defeating them, he interrogates a monster about human whereabouts, and when the monster attempts to despise him, Kang reiterates that he should consider cooperating if he intends to live, and the fretted monster begins to answer his queries until he answers about his caste being null, and once he has sought enough information, Kang then smashes the monster in the head, reiterating that he only meant to leave them, not to spare them. Meanwhile, Prince Alsus announces that training will start the next day at the temple. He'll teach swordsmanship, while Princess Athena will handle magic. Choi expresses interest in both, and Prince Alsus allows it but warns of the difficulty. Hanwoo asks if he can skip lessons, and he's given permission to do as he likes. The next morning, Prince Alsus invites those interested in becoming knights to join him while the others wait for Princess Athena's magic instruction. Later, as the heroes check their status, Hanwoo discovers a special designation indicating he's the chosen main character of the world. Happy with this, he thinks about how Choi doesn't realize his importance. Outside the temple, Hanwoo considers that even if someone like Choi did their best, they'd likely become the main character's rival. After some time, Ohan Hanwoo finds himself in the city, convinced it's the perfect place to begin his fantasy adventure. Entering the mercenary guild, he's greeted by many fighters, and the receptionist warmly asks about his purpose. Hanwoo confidently declares his intention to register as a mercenary. However, his declaration is interrupted by a girl who dismisses him, insisting it's not the place for a novice like him. She advises him to give up his dreams and go home, citing the fate of many young boys who met their end as mercenaries. Hanwoo, attributing this encounter to his protagonist's status, sees the girl as a disguised princess or noblewoman. Despite her discouragement, he smiles, seeing it as typical for a main character due to his special blessing. When she questions his attention, he reassures her he's listening. Hanwoo counters her skepticism, suggesting that judging based on appearances isn't wise, noting she's likely faced similar biases. Impressed by his response, the girl acknowledges his point. Hanwoo, excited by the interaction, believes himself to be extraordinary in this world. He cryptically hints at his chosen status and his destined role as a hero tasked with saving the world. As he prepares to leave, the girl expresses curiosity about his abilities as a chosen one. Hanwoo cryptically hints that she'll discover the true extent soon enough. Meanwhile, the monster assures Kang of the human village's location to the west in the jungle. Grateful for the information, Kang acknowledges the creature before swiftly incapacitating it with a strike from his stone. Afterwards, he remarks that the gnolls are surprisingly forthright, their crudeness making their lies obvious. Unsure of the exact distance to the human village, Kang verifies it by consulting numerous gnolls to eliminate any doubt. His desperate encounters with the gnolls transform into a swift hunt as he grows adept at dispatching them, evolving from prey to seasoned hunter overnight, much to his delight. Despite sustaining numerous wounds during his learning process, Kang quickly adapts to combat with the help of his outsider's blessing. His clothes are torn in the skirmishes, but he remains exhilarated, maintaining his sanity despite enduring severe injuries. As he battles, God apologizes for Kang's predicament but refuses to intervene further, indifferent to Kang's plight. Suddenly, another gnoll attacks, but Kang retaliates with a butcher's knife. Faced with an endless horde of gnolls, Kang fights tirelessly, growing anxious as he realizes his lack of progress in leveling up despite defeating numerous foes. He receives a message indicating a specific god's dissatisfaction with his progress. After another skirmish, Kang overhears the unfamiliar language of a friendly race nearby. Despite their friendly demeanor, he remains cautious, recognizing that their definition of friendship might differ from his own. Spotting humans among them, possibly mercenaries, Kang observes cautiously. However, when a woman throws a weapon at him, Kang surrenders, concealing his dagger and signaling his peaceful intentions. Though they cannot communicate verbally, Kang believes humans can convey intentions through body language and a non-threatening demeanor. Halting the woman from attacking, Kang assures them of his peace, and surprisingly, the mercenaries spare his life. After spending time with them, Kang wanders the forests with his newfound companions. Though the lady and the man attempt to communicate with him, Kang struggles to comprehend their words and he lacks proficiency in foreign languages. Despite his inability to understand their dialogue, Kang attempts to convey his name through gestures, albeit with limited success. Reflecting on his encounter with the friendly mercenaries, Kang feels relieved that they didn't resort to violence like the fairies and offers gratitude for the decreased risk of monster encounters. Though he cannot view their status windows, Kang assumes that fully armed mercenaries like them would pose a more significant threat than mere level 1 adversaries. Although he still can't converse with people, Kang manages to discern the names of his companions through body language. Speculating that the burly older man Gary is the group's leader due to his strength and composure, Kang observes the camaraderie between Gary and the smaller Cole. Cole is smaller than Gary but carries a well-built physique. Moreover, Cole is more friendly in nature than Gary and he smiles often. Kang then notices the two swords wielded on each side and wonders if Cole ever makes use of them or rather uses them to show off. He then turns to the lady standing close to him. She is Misha. She is the party ranged attacker and she uses a huge steel crossbow. Kang realizes that she wants to show him something when she gestures toward distant smoke. Excited at the prospect of finding human habitation, Kang's joy is short-lived as he receives a disapproving glance from a particular god. Despite a god's warning that he's not behaving like an outsider, Kang disregards it, asserting that growing closer to others naturally leads to more casual conversation. Brushing it off, Kang claims that he's being friendly to them so they can help him. All of a sudden, peace is broken as many scary monsters show up, making Kang get ready to fight. But Gary and Cole step up to fight them, so Kang can't do much. When one of the monsters threatens M, Kang steps in even though a god doesn't like it. Kang says he had to do it to stay safe and talks about how humans like helping each other. But the god doesn't care. Kang quickly fights and defeats one of the monsters with his knife. After the fight, Kang thanks his friends, not realizing they're upset. Out of nowhere, Misha shoots an arrow at Kang, hitting him in the shoulder and making him fall in pain. After subduing Kang or outmaneuvering him, they observe his motionless form. Cole expresses his gratitude to Misha, noting that their initial strategy had been compromised by the unexpected interference of the gnolls. Misha, on the other hand, believes this turn of events worked in their favor. It was the gnolls' assault that unveiled the true menace Kang posed. She had underestimated him due to his slender build, yet his prowess in combat, coupled with his peculiar manner of communication, revealed a strength they hadn't anticipated. Gary, too, acknowledges Kang's formidable nature. He's convinced that adhering to their original plan would have made subduing Kang a challenging ordeal. Cole harbors regret over Kang's fate, but accepts it as necessary, doubting Kang's compliance in becoming a slave. Gary advises them to take a dagger from Kang, pointing out that while they can't sell him into slavery, they should salvage what value they can. He speculates the dagger, adorned with symbols of fairy nobility, could fetch a significant sum. Cole, having examined the dagger closely, agrees on its potential worth in the marketplace. As Cole attempts to retrieve the dagger, he's thwarted by Kang's tight grip. Misha cautions Cole, revealing her shot didn't hit Kang's vital organs, hinting at his possible survival. With Kang down, Cole sees this as his chance, raising his sword to deliver a fatal blow, only to be stunned by the appearance of Kang's status window. The revelation of Kang's stats, not only immense but incomprehensible, shocks Cole, especially realizing that such details are visible only if the individual is alive. Before Cole can process this, Kang counters, striking Cole with the dagger. This unexpected assault astonishes Gary and Misha. Cole is knocked to the ground by the forceful attack and Kang rises undeterred. Gary readies his sword for an attack, but Kang's swift retaliation with the dagger catches him off guard. Misha's arrows fail to hinder Kang, who, with a smile, plucks an arrow from himself. The formidable Misha quickly succumbs to fear, pleading for mercy, but Kang utters a few words before ending her life. Kang then changes his attire, pondering the ineffectiveness of Misha's deadly assault for a woman and considering her arrows as potentially useful. Despite his confusion over their aggression, he notes Misha's level and blessings, deciding to proceed to the village as initially planned, confident that the funds acquired from these adversaries will suffice despite potential language barriers. Elsewhere, Princess Athena apologizes for her tardiness to her pupils, initiating a lecture on magic. She informs them that Fantasia was devoid of magic in its past, prompting discussions among the students. The former class president calls for concentration, and Princess Athena clarifies that magic relies on innate talent and mastering mana. She dismisses irrelevant theories, highlighting the significance of natural aptitude and hereditary links. Emphasizing the importance of recognizing the originator of magic, she outlines how lineage and educational connections influence one's magical capabilities. As Athena, a descendant of Zion, she underscores her prestigious lineage. Regarding the heroes' futures, she reveals that their connection to her educationally will shape them as her disciples. Uber, intrigued, questions whether someone without such a prestigious lineage can become a magician. Princess Athena assures her that while it's possible, starting with solid connections can significantly benefit their journey. Excitedly, she invites Ubor to join her as an apprentice, an offer that leaves Ubor stunned. Amidst forming formations, Princess Athena designates Ubor as her first apprentice, expressing her intent to train her as a magic elf, much to Ubor's emotional reaction. Eventually, Athena congratulates Ubor on achieving full-fledged magician status, although Ubor remains bewildered by the sudden events. Athena clarifies that earlier apprentices received more talent passed down to them, which is evident in Uber's newfound C-rank blessing. However, Uber's joy is short-lived as Athena reveals that without a magic blessing from a parent or master, she cannot truly become a magician. Recognizing the importance of talent, Athena emphasizes its significance to Ubor. Addressing their initial query, Athena unveils a magic ball, explaining that it's a blessing left behind by the founder, facilitating rapid magic learning for descendants and students. She elaborates on white magic safely and efficiently utilized with a blessing. Demonstrating her talent, Athena showcases her ability to produce both white and black magic, highlighting the necessity of talent in magic practice. The heroes, impressed by her demonstrations, watch in awe as Athena's hands emit both types of magic, each with significance and application. Suddenly, the head maid appears and playfully scolds Athena, pinching her cheeks for disobeying the queen's strict orders against using black magic. Athena defends herself, explaining that she only did so to aid the hero's comprehension. However, she accepts responsibility and apologizes, knowing the maid will report the incident to the queen. A prince arrives to heal Athena, who requests the maid not to inform her mother about the incident. Meanwhile, Ubor, overwhelmed with fear, apologizes for her earlier question. Athena reassures the heroes, expressing her happiness that they understand the dangers of black magic. Some inquire about black magic's nature, and Athena explains that unlike the blessed magic passed down by the founder, black magic is akin to natural magic power, neither inherently good nor evil. On the other side, Kang Hansu arrives at the village and asks the guard for firewood. When the guard fails to comprehend, Kang offers coins in exchange. As he explores the town, Kang notes the prevalence of armed individuals, likely due to the surrounding forest's dangers. After bathing, Kang reflects on the power of money to forge connections, even in the absence of verbal communication. He jests with God about gender, earning an uncomfortable response. Deciding to identify as male for dignity's sake, Kang senses God's unease but receives no explanation. Suddenly, Kang hears voices outside his room and hastily dresses, anticipating communication with another person. However, his hopes are dashed when he discovers the speaker is not human but a member of a hostile race, alerting Kang to the imminent danger. Kang suspects that the person coming to see him might be against heroes, possibly a monster like the gnolls or demons. He opens the door, sits on the bed, hiding his daggers, and invites the person in. Kang is curious about what kind of monster will appear, regardless of whether they're friendly or hostile to heroes. He feels that elves, humans, and NES, presumably non-human entities, are all dangerous, yet he's had meaningful conversations with them. A young human man enters, claiming to be the village's chief. He came to check on a traveler who spoke a different language. Kang observes the chief, noting his youthfulness for a chief. The chief can see Kang's status window, making Kang uneasy. The chief advises Kang to hide his status window, although it won't work on someone with the observation blessing like him. Kang asks if he can hide it, but the chief dismisses his question, assuming Kang is a foreigner. He explains the village's grudge against fairies and how it's populated by those seeking revenge. The chief receives a message from God, indicating his anger. He informs Kang that the village is primarily inexperienced city dwellers seeking adventure. Before leaving, he shows Kang a potion, revealing he spiked his dinner with a paralysis potion, but is surprised it had no effect. Kang pulls out his dagger in response. The chief admires Kang's reaction and explains the potion's failure due to the fairy's resistance. He takes Kang's dagger and reassures him that he's not at fault but rather unlucky. Kang feels a sense of warning from God and is frightened. Later, Kang finds himself in prison. The chief reveals the villagers' anger toward the NES, but acknowledges they're also victims. He blames the real culprits, the fairies, for pitting them against each other. Kang listens in fear as the chief labels the fairies as their true enemies. After urging Kang to examine his status window, Crimson, the chief, reveals his status and the curse he bears. Fairy Southeast, marking him as the sworn enemy of fairies, shortening his life in youth. Kang asks if a goddess bestowed this curse, but Crimson explains it as the result of grievances from fairies he's slain, akin to an honorable scar. Kang ponders curses, realizing they come with conditions. When Crimson threatens him with a dagger, Kang clarifies he's not an enemy of fairies and won't share personal matters with a stranger. Impressed by Kang's dagger, Crimson asks about its origin. Kang, prioritizing survival, fabricates a story of acquiring it from a fairy he'd slain in self-defense, fostering camaraderie against a common enemy. Pleased, Crimson suggests they share an adversary, but Kang is unaware of the fairy's royal status. As Crimson hints at sparing Kang's life, Kang pleads for mercy, oblivious to the danger. Aware of Kang's mage status without a magic blessing, Crimson questions his ignorance, explaining his status as an outsider. Kang fails to grasp the significance of Crimson's ominous words. Meanwhile, God prays for Kang's fortune. Suddenly, Crimson unveils his dark magic, sacrificing a woman to prolong his life. Claiming to fight against the curse with sacrificial rituals, Crimson offers Kang a painless sacrifice as thanks for his supposed kindness to fairy royalty. Smiling, Kang acknowledges Crimson's twisted generosity. Kang feels like he's been abandoned by a god with a bad attitude, but that's not the worst part. He can still talk. He calls for Chief Crimson. Crimson asks if Kang wants to plead for his life, but Kang refuses. Crimson tells him to speak his last words. Something bothers Crimson. He killed someone with a rope. Kang is scared and stays silent. Later, Crimson asks Kang what he wants to say. Kang thinks Crimson's behavior is odd, maybe a ploy for recognition for being just. He tells Crimson no one has acknowledged his efforts. Crimson smiles, saying Kang understands him because he's an outsider. He explains it means a lone wolf like Kang. God whispers that Crimson isn't an outsider. Kang disagrees but thinks he's successfully empathized with Crimson. Crimson says he likes Kang and advises him to stay a lone wolf. Kang finds Crimson's logic strange. Initially, he said he liked Kang for the greater good, but now he wants to kill him to remain an outsider. Kang is angry. Crimson says it's a happy day because he finally meets someone who understands his mission. Kang thinks he's in the worst situation. Some people are hanged with chains and Crimson watches. He tells a boy in a bad state to come with him. The boy says something in another language. Crimson replies that his friend needs to live and entertain him so he won't kill her. After pulling the boy down, he falls into Crimson's formation. Crimson starts his black magic, invoking the Mother of Life, asking for the remaining life of the fairy. The magic circle shines and the boy is terrified. Crimson promises to send the boy's mate to him soon if he forfeits his life. Holding the boy by his hair, he warns him of the consequences of rejecting his mercy. Meanwhile, Kang reflects on the chief's actions, noticing him seemingly becoming younger as he takes life from the fairy. After some time, Crimson informs Kang of his successful spell, but Kang sees no change in his appearance. Crimson explains he's not human and didn't sacrifice the fairy to extend his life. He reveals he's lost count of how many fairies and travelers he's killed, making the fairy's curse pitiful. Crimson removes his clothes, revealing something to Kang. Kang is shocked to discover Crimson is a null. He informs Kang of this revelation. Kang is scared, thinking Crimson might be a mixed race. Crimson explains the significance of being a combination of two races with grudges against fairies, smiling as he plans revenge with his human intelligence and null physique. He praises his dark magic to Kang. Kang questions if this is vengeance as Crimson hunts fairies with the power of fairies. Crimson dismisses his concerns, reminding him of his teachings about outsiders and revealing his true identity to Kang. Grabbing Kang, he tells him he'll forget him and put his life to good use. Kang protests, reminding Crimson of his past assistance, but Crimson insists on killing him because he's an outsider. Angry and realizing the danger of severe outsiders, Kang accepts his fate. At the temple, Princess Athena, known as the genius of the arch-amazing magic kingdom, admired her hard work despite her status as a princess. Ybor inquires about magic creation through imagination, but Princess Athena stresses the importance of following established magical paths for efficiency. Despite the explanation that bloodline and education determine magical prowess, Princess Athena notices Ybor's effort and decides to mentor her. Demonstrating ice magic, she explains the family's fire magic legacy and showcases her unique ice rabbit spell. Ybor attempts the magic but struggles, prompting Princess Athena to encourage practice for improvement. Jang Mayan voices concern about finding love without a blessing, sparking a chorus of students clamoring for blessings. They all complain that Princess Athena is unfair and treats them equally. After some thought, she asks who wanted to be her second apprentice. Suddenly, everyone shouts their desire to be chosen. Princess Athena's sentence causes chaos despite their pleas as the alliance breaks down and they start arguing. Eventually, the students decide. Princess Athena asks who wants to be her second apprentice. Ybor questions if she does this intentionally, which she doesn't understand. Ending the lesson, Princess Athena shows them the ice rabbit, explaining that unique magic comes from trials, errors, and practice. Ybor compares it to black magic, surprising Princess Athena. He asks if black magic differs from white magic and requires continuous practice alone. Princess Athena looks concerned, explaining black magic demands sacrifice each time it's used. Meanwhile, Kang is trapped in Crimson's magic formation, wondering why this madman catches him. Crimson demands Kang declare he'll give his life to him. Kang realizes consent seems crucial in black magic. Crimson clarifies physical restraint doesn't imply ownership. Ending their conversation, he demands Kang declare his willingness to hand over his life. Kang knows he must act to survive. Suddenly, he requests to see Misha one last time before facing death. Crimson questions Kang's motive. Kang claims to be Misha's lover, but Crimson doubts him, asserting his authority as village chief. Kang insists Cole is Misha's ex-boyfriend. To prove his claim, Kang challenges Crimson to smell him, revealing Misha's scent and confirming their relationship. Crimson realizes the implications of Misha's disappearance and agrees to let Kang go until he finds her, with Kang promising loyalty in return. However, as Crimson senses devil energy, Kang fears for his life despite Crimson's assurances. In a surprise turn, Kang strikes Crimson, revealing a hidden agenda. Crimson accuses Kang of tricking him, but Kang rather turns back to him and believes it's Crimson who tricked him first by promising a painless death. Crimson is shocked by Kang's survival and promptly inquires about Kang. However, Kang smirks back at him and responds that he will tell him once he is a corpse. As the magic restriction wears off and God resets his declared lifespan, Crimson becomes furious. He despises Kang for his survival. Kang reminds Crimson of his promise to set him free if he survives and demands he uphold it. Kang grabs his infamous dagger and slashes the chains, setting a girl free from her chains and starts to leave with the girl carried on his shoulders. But Crimson does not buy it. He shouts at Kang and lashes out to stop him. Kang is pretty certain that Chief cannot do anything to him until he finds Misa, and there is no way that Chief can find someone who is dead already. Agonizing in vengeance for the humiliation, Chief attempts to nullify the promise using the lifespan he has received from Kang. Crimson grabs Kang with demonic energy, but Kang remains determined not to give up on dying a painless death. But just when he is about to get his hands on Kang, he begins to cough blood. Kang gets on his knees and finds his powers fading since being struck by dark magic. However, as a result, his eyes have rather opened to sights he has never come across before. He stares at Kang in utter disbelief at how on earth someone could go unscathed even after stealing so many lives, and shouts at Kang, "Are you some kind of vampire with an unlimited lifespan?" As Crimson dies, Kang considers the experience he would gain by defeating the level 16 Chief. However, he quickly rejects the idea and considers fleeing a better option. He bids farewell to Crimson, who vows revenge before attempting to attack Kang. Injured Kang heals miraculously. Crimson smirks at Kang and inquires if he is surprised. Crimson is riding on Null's swordsmanship power at present. It's the power he had kept saved to hunt fairies. However, Kang has impelled him to disclose this face. To Crimson's surprise, Kang miraculously heals the wood and gets back on his feet to attack. Crimson is puzzled for all the right reasons and contemplates if he is already out of power against the boy. Kang acknowledges the close call and kills Crimson, intending to eliminate the Null in his body. Kang kills the crying Null while God expresses pity. Kang frees the fairies Crimson captured and calls for villagers. Meanwhile, even the local militia swarm in to settle things with Kang, and with this, Kang leaves them with a smile. After a month, Kang is ambushed by fairies in the jungle and leaps off a cliff to escape. Meanwhile, a minor dispute erupts at the temple over apprenticeships, but the arrival of numerous aspiring mages swiftly resolves the issue. Princess Athena instructs the heroes on visualizing magic in their minds, emphasizing focus. As they practice creating fireballs, a student queries Princess Athena about the mathematics of magic. She initially dismisses the idea, but a master corrects her, explaining the application of mathematics to enhance magical efficiency. The master emphasizes the importance of precision in magic, enlightening the heroes on factors like wind direction and speed. Princess Athena expresses interest in learning practical battle magic. Later, the heroes join other mages, where practical magic proves exceptional under expert guidance. During a thunderstorm, fairies gather, tending to an injured Espresso, a maid of the fairy princess. Unable to offer more than medicine, her fellows apologize for their limitations. They plan to capture a human in hopes of a miracle from a sanctus to heal Espresso, though they doubt its likelihood. She thinks this might be the Chief Crimson, but the villagers who just stood by could also be accomplices. She is crying and thinks that when she returns to the kingdom, she needs to report this village first. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. Another fairy is standing outside of the room. Espresso tells her to come in. She comes in and tells her that she was told that the village mercenaries lost him. Espresso is slightly angry and tells her they do not have to care about the human problem. She replies, but that man saved them from the evil chief. They are talking about Kang Hansu. Espresso is angry and tells her he has a princess's dagger. She tells her he is tricking them and that humans are beasts they cannot trust. The girl again tells Espresso in an assertive voice that it is still true that he saved them. She replied that's why he is keeping her mouth shut, and it is not like they told him to kill him. It is merely beasts tearing each other apart. Suddenly, the councilwoman comes there and asks Espresso about what she said. The other fairy comes near Celis to support her as she looks sick. Celis is a fairy royal with a name that means Holy Sun in the ancient language. Despite her royal lineage, she possesses eternal life and was once a cherished toy of Chief Crimson. Celis tearfully recounts how Kang Hansu, through a pact violation, inadvertently led to the chief's demise. Espresso reminisces about their carefree days in the palace and how a distant memory. Celis urges Espresso to find Kang despite her worsening condition. God observes the scene before departing. Later, God encounters Kang in the jungle and approaches him anxiously, ultimately falling from a cliff. At the temple, Prince Alsus joins the aspiring swordsmen for a surprise tea break, leading them to the banquet hall for a toast. Amid cheers from the knights, Prince Alsus announces a demonstration of swordsmanship. He spars with the commander to illustrate techniques. First, they demonstrate regular swordsmanship. Then Prince Alsus asks the commander to use his full swordsmanship. They engage in a duel, with Prince Alsus attacking while the commander defends. The heroes are impressed by their skills. After the duel, Prince Alsus explains that what they just witnessed was authentic swordsmanship, where the goal is to defeat the opponent in a single strike. He warns them that they must surpass mere imitation if they hope to defeat powerful foes like the ironclad cavalry. One of the heroes realizes that true swordsmanship is about efficiency. Prince Alsus confirms their understanding and begins teaching them swordsmanship. He then offers them tea, explaining that it contains a warrior's blessing to help them learn quickly and safely. Though the tea tastes bad, they all drink it as part of their training. Choi even asks for more, but Prince Alsis suggests having snacks instead. He instructs the commander to pour another glass of tea for Choi. On the other hand, deep in the jungle, God and Kang sit atop a tree. Kang notes the absence of gnolls this time, feeling relieved that they have a forest beneath the cliff. He believes the mercenaries who pursued him likely originated from a nearby village. Kang acknowledges that he would have been caught if it hadn't been for a bride guard who opened the village door for him. Suddenly, gnolls arrive, spotting Kang on the tree. Kang observes as they warmly greet Kang, finding it ironic that he trusts Kang more than humans or fairies. Descending to the ground, Kang swiftly dispatches the 3 gnolls with ease. He remarks on the simplicity of the task and comments to God on his seemingly more elegant physique. Kang checks his status window but notices no changes except for the dividend, which is now 3.43. Confused, he asks God for an explanation, who simply advises him that a higher dividend is better, earning a puzzled look from Kang. Kang reflects that this is the first time he's heard something valuable from a god. Meanwhile, one of the gnolls remains alive. Kang approaches and engages in conversation, learning that the gnoll is angry at the fairies and desires to eat them. Kang sees the gnoll's swordsmanship as a potential solution for his revenge against the goddess, considering himself too weak even if he reaches level 2. He decides to mimic the gnoll's unique swordsmanship, as their chief promised it would at least make him stronger. Kang queries the gnolls about his red eyes and the power of their meat, eager to understand more. He believes that mastering gnoll swordsmanship and studying their ecosystem will aid him in seeking revenge smoothly. On the other side of the jungle, Gnolls is devouring his prey while Kang watches. It's been a few days since Kang began shadowing the gnolls to study their strength. Suddenly, Gnolls spots Kang and moves in to attack, but Kang manages to evade. Kang realizes that Gnolls attempted to hunt him when the opportunity arose. After fending off Gnolls, Kang notices that Gnolls is still quite feeble. Kang, intrigued, examines Gnolls and discovers his name is Fang, and he's at level 6. Kang questions Fang about his level, and Fang, gesturing to his muscles, boasts about his strength. Fang explains that gnolls feed on fairy meat for vigor. Kang presses further, questioning why Fang is still weak despite hunting 2 fairies. Fang becomes despondent, insisting he's strong, but Kang punches him again. Over time, Kang realizes he's gaining insights into the gnoll's traits as an outsider. Meanwhile, Fang directs Kang toward the fairy village, where Kang suspects that the fairies who ambushed him might be residing. Kang confirms that the tales the chief spoke of were indeed true. Meanwhile, Kang catches a rabbit and begins to eat. He notices Fang's body gradually changing, growing stronger with each meal. Kang finds it simpler than the chief's use of black magic to drain life force, though the rabbit's effect seems diminished. Kang questions Fang if he feels complete now, but Fang begins growling, expressing his desire for more meat, his eyes turning red. Fang lunges at Kang again, prompting Kang to strike back with full force. Kang expresses gratitude to Fang for helping him understand the power of meat, delivering a decisive blow that cuts Fang in 2. Feeling confident, Kang approaches Fang, who reveals he is also a gnoll. Kang, initially believing Fang to be human, observes that Fang's hands emit red energy, speculating that it is a result of intense emotion and the gnoll's desire for satiation. The outsider god, surprised by Fang's transformation, explains to Kang that this is the power of meat. Kang doubts anyone else can hash it, wondering if Fang would have perished without King's blessing. After utilizing the strength derived from depleted life force, Fang becomes weary of its power. The outsider's blessing resets with every meal, creating an infinite loop. As night falls, they venture through the jungle. Sensing the scent of meat, Kang swiftly strikes down with a powerful blow, surprising both the outsider god and himself. Despite his newfound strength, Kang feels discontent. The outsider god directs Kang toward their destination, and they arrive at the village. Kang vows to punish the fantasy barbarians with his newfound power. As they approach the village, Kang plans to sneak in through the back tunnel, but security is tighter than anticipated. Nevertheless, Kang feels satisfied, having memorized the village layout in advance. Curious about the outsider god's sudden help, Kang follows his instincts and rushes towards the village boundary wall. Kang climbed up the wall with a dagger's help, entering the village unnoticed. As he surveys the area, he feels relieved that no one is around. After a while, a guard emerges and Kang swiftly subdues him, ending his life with a dagger to the neck. Reflecting on the consequences of his actions, Kang acknowledges that while these guards may have people to mourn them, he too has a family he nearly lost because of them. Determined not to be oppressed any longer, Kang resolves to stand up for himself. Meanwhile, the outsider god observes Kang's actions with interest. As Kang progresses through his infiltration, he takes down additional guards, consolidating their bodies in a single location. Reflecting on his progress, Kang notes the absence of fairies among the adversaries he's faced so far. Perplexed by this, he reasons that both fairies and humans would require access to facilities, yet he hasn't come across any fairies. The outsider god sneers at Kang, prompting Kang to rebuke him for his unkindness. Suddenly, they hear voices nearby. Kang witnesses humans capturing fairies, finding the turn of events intriguing. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Espresso is abducted and taken to a basement by men. Amidst her captivity, Espresso contemplates various thoughts until she hears the voice of a woman. The woman, identified as the healer from earlier, expresses that Crimson believed they were unaware of their actions, but they ignored him to preserve their new way of life. Espresso recognizes the voice and acknowledges that this is their deserved retribution for leaving their friend to fight alone. Meanwhile, a boy informs his companion that he overheard in the cafeteria that the fairies harbored disdain towards humans. A bald man interjects, stating that something significant occurred in the village. The lady with blue hair orders her men to proceed, and they advance with daggers to kill the fairies in the name of Crimson. The bald man carries out Espresso's execution, and eventually, all the fairies are killed except for Celeblis, who remains tied up. Celeblis addresses the group, acknowledging their objective would be fulfilled by killing her. She understands their motivations but expresses anger at killing their savior to preserve their secret. When the boy offers to spare her in exchange for silence, Celeblis rejects the idea of making deals under threat. The lady in blue reassures Celeblis they would release her even if she lied, prompting Celeblis to smile and demonstrating that fairies don't lie to save themselves. Ultimately, they decide to kill Celeblis, intending to do so as possible, with the bald man assigned to the task. However, Kang intervenes, saving Celeblis and dispatching the man. Shocked to see Kang, Celeblis is greeted by him, and Kang assures her they'll catch up later, but first he deals with their adversaries. Kang swiftly defeats foes, noting unity under the village chief. A pleading girl offers herself, but Kang, understanding her, sees no reason to spare her. He swiftly ends her life. Kang kills a fleeing lady, reflecting on targeting the burly man first. Celeblis speaks, but Kang can't understand until he sees her level 12 status window, surprising him. Discovering Celeblis's 3 high-rank blessings, including Tamer, Kang deems them useless without animals. Kang realizes Celeblis likely showed him her status for a reason. Addressing her, he remains calm, explaining his foresight in avoiding punishment, surprising Celeblis. Considering Celeblis a luck fairy, Kang refrains from killing her, recognizing parallels between their situations. He believes revealing his name to the natives was necessary for survival. Kang releases Celeblis, urging her to handle the situation herself. Reflecting further, he decides killing all fairies would be no better than them. Celeblis rushes toward Kang, who grabs her, urging her to stop. Despite his plea, she calls out his name, leaving Kang astonished. They walk through the village streets, Kang questioning the eerie silence. Outsider God dismisses him, unwilling to explain. Kang realizes he needs to remove Celeblis to placate the outsider god, but hesitates to trust anyone in the village who is aware of Knowles. They decide to escape, and Kang seizes Celeblis and flees. While running, Celeblis attempts to speak to Kang, raising her hand and revealing a phoenix. Kang is shocked by this revelation, while Celeblis smiles. Eventually, the phoenix lands, and Celeblis greets it warmly, expressing a desire to be let down. Kang releases her, and she approaches the phoenix, engaging in conversation. Kang is astounded, attributing this interaction to Celeblis's Tamer blessing. Afterward, Celeblis approaches Kang and unexpectedly kisses him. Kang is taken aback by this sudden gesture. Outsider God grows frustrated with Celeblis's actions, leaving Kang bewildered and questioning her behavior. Celeblis mounts a circling phoenix, communicating with it before departing, leaving Kang perplexed. Meanwhile, the outsider God expresses anger, pulling his hair as Kang reassures him, feeling betrayed by Celeblis's move. A status window appears, shocking Kang as he discovers a fairy blessing, bringing him joy. The high rank of the blessing elevates his spirits further. The outsider God remains uncomfortable, reminding Kang of life's surprises. The fairy designates Kang as a friend, granting him an increased lifespan and youth. Kang sees this blessing as akin to the outsiders, realizing their combined powers could enhance his lifespan, especially with a meat power. Despite the outsider god's discomfort, Kang severs ties with Celeblis, feeling content. In the jumble, the outsider god suggests exploring further, indicating their journey is ongoing. Prince Alcis and Princess Athena meet with the heroes at Fantasia, informing them it's been 3 days since their arrival. Alcis suggests raising levels through meditation and hunting, with night orders attracting monsters. Princess Athena emphasizes the importance of blessings for mages, stating that hunting will increase their abilities. The heroes eagerly prepare for the hunt. During the hunt, a hero prepares to attack a slime, but Athena and Alcis intervene, explaining its beneficial role in consuming waste and preventing disease spread. They caution against attacking slimes, condemning it as savagery. The heroes apologize for their misunderstanding. Prince Alsus redirects their attention, suggesting that slimes with an average level of 2 would be suitable targets. However, their primary goal for the day is a gnolls with an intermediate level of 4. The girls express shock at this revelation, but Princess Athena reassures them, mentioning the presence of a saintess who can revive them if they perish. Suddenly, Prince Alsus steps forward to support Princess Athena's explanation. He reassures the heroes that they have the capability to handle even orcs with an average level of 6, given the team they have assembled. With this, he takes charge of the situation, covering for Princess Athena. As the hunting commences, the students encounter the gnolls and are taken aback by their presence. Choi Kangman eagerly engages them, but his attempt fails as he ends up injuring his eye, leaving him in agony. They overwhelm the heroes, defeating them one by one. Despite attempts by mages to use magic against the gnolls, their efforts prove futile. As they prepare to attack, Prince Alsus arrives and swiftly dispatches the gnolls, cutting them into pieces and saving the heroes from further harm. However, each hero sustains injuries in the process. Meanwhile, the Saintess commends Prince Alsus for his dedication to guiding the heroes. She consoles one of the injured heroes, reflecting that there must be a divine reason behind God choosing these individuals as heroes and sending them to this land. After the Saintess revives them, the heroes resume hunting. Choi Kangman, with his companions, encounters a gnolls. Using his blessing of grit, Choi defeats it. He gains new blessings of command and acceleration, feeling elated. Acceleration allows swift movement during critical moments, while command enhances group abilities. Choi notices a gnoll attacking Jang, but her companions swiftly dispatch it. Jang, also at level 2, attributes her success to her blessing of beauty, which frees her from bodily functions. Grateful, she thanks her companions, evoking jealousy among the other girls. Impressed, Choi offers his assistance to the other girls. Meanwhile, the gods closely observe the heroes' activities. Facing a gnoll alone, Ymor fights with determination, conjuring a fireball to overcome difficulties. Triumphing, she reaches level 2, blessed with a weapon empowering her wooden sword. Grateful for the newfound strength, she appreciates the gods' acknowledgement. Her reverie is interrupted when Null attacks her, but Ymor swiftly retaliates, utilizing her powerful weapon blessing to overpower him. She strikes him with her sword before finishing him off with her magic, decisively severing his neck. As she receives a notification of reaching level 3, Ymor feels a sense of satisfaction at achieving this feat alone. Meanwhile, Choi feels frustrated as he observes the male heroes engaging in battles with the gnolls for Jang's sake, his annoyance evident. On the other side, Prince Alsus and Princess Athena observe the heroes' progress with interest. Meanwhile, at noon, Kang continues his relentless onslaught against the gnolls, claiming numerous lives. The outsider god inquires about Kang's kill count, to which Kang confidently responds that he has slain at least a few thousand without the need to check. However, Kang's repeated checks of his status window during the battle have incurred a curse, which aggravates him. Despite his frustration, Kang remains determined, acknowledging that growth will be challenging due to the curse placed by the Eagle Goddess. He expresses anger that his level isn't increasing and notices the outsider god's sudden interest in observing the stars. As Kang ponders the curse of slaughter, which causes friendly races to slightly fear and find him appalling, he seeks understanding. Meanwhile, he remains curious about the outsider god's newfound fascination with the stars. Kang laments being forced into the role of an objective outsider, while the outsider god attempts to uplift his spirits. Suddenly, Kang notices that Knowles is wearing a valuable bracelet, prompting Kang to stealthily remove it. Rationalizing that stealing treasures from Knowles is justified since they likely obtained them from humans or fairies, Kang sees it as a means to grow stronger when leveling up seems unattainable through conventional means. As more gnolls approach, Kang observes their remaining and notices Hook, a level 6 gnoll capable of making fairies cry. Kang realizes they devise a strategic plan, likely fueled by consuming vast amounts of meat. Undaunted, Kang prepares for the imminent fight. As the gnolls charge at him, Kang leaps into action, releasing the energy of meat within him. He expresses gratitude to his adversaries, acknowledging that they've taught him to harness his powers naturally, even though he feels they will always be insufficient, no matter how much he prepares. After defeating them all, Kang amasses a ton of gold but realizes he has a language barrier with merchants, rendering his wealth useless. He decides he needs a translator and trusts them since they're bad at lying. Suddenly, a man with a devil's horn appears, asking about the caretaker of the gnolls. Kang grabs him, realizing he can understand his language. Kang suggests they become friends, but the man reveals he's a devil, not a gnoll. Shocked, Kang recalls the goddess's words about the hero's mission to defeat the Demon King and realizes demons must be powerful if even gods seek help from otherworlders. The demon rebukes Kang for his approach and criticizes the prejudice that all demons are strong. Kang apologizes, acknowledging his own weakness. Surprisingly, the demon begins to cry, prompting Kang's concern. The demon then acknowledges Kang's abnormal strength, questioning how he achieved such power at level 1. Kang attributes his strength to his blessings, though the demon remains skeptical, noting more curses than blessings upon Kang. To Kang's shock, the demon reveals an observation blessing in his eye, allowing him to see the status windows of others. Additionally, he possesses another gift that permits him to peer into others' status windows. Meanwhile, the outsider god observes the interaction intently. The demon identifies himself as a dark mage and asserts that intelligence is necessary to master dark magic. He explains that he's training away from his homeland for marriage, emphasizing that Kang should not underestimate him as a mere human. Furthermore, he claims to have been of marriageable age even before birth, indicating his supernatural nature. Meanwhile, God Ain urges Kang to delve deeper into the demon's personal story, indicating the importance of learning more about him. Kang inquires why the demon hasn't been able to marry yet and grabs him by the neck, irritating the demon. The demon explains that stronger demons can have multiple partners, but reveals he fled to avoid becoming the 243rd husband of an old demon, evoking Kang's sympathy. Curious about the demon's ability to move despite being paralyzed, Kang discovers a bottle of paralysis potion nearby, triggering memories of Chief Crimson, who had poisoned him before. Kang expresses his frustration at the reminder of that painful memory. As the demon attempts to bind Kang in magic, Kang manages to evade his grasp. Kang presses the demon about his connection to Chief Crimson, specifically mentioning the leader with a null head on its chest. Recollecting the encounter, the demon acknowledges knowing the chief and reveals that the chief is a dying human with a tragic backstory. Furthermore, he discloses that he saved the chief from a curse inflicted by a fairy. Kang recognizes the demon as the magician who aided the despised chief. In the jungle, the Saintess informs the students that other heroes have discontinued training and returned to the temple, directing funds towards those who remain. The heroes are pleased by this decision. Prince Alsis praises their unprecedented level of speed, emphasizing their uniqueness as humanity's hope. Suddenly, a knight arrives, alerting Prince Alsis and the Saintess to a level 5 gnolls in the vicinity. Recognizing the opportunity for the level 3 heroes to gain valuable experience, the Saintess encourages them to confront the gnolls. As they set out to hunt the gnolls, Prince Alsis cautions the heroes about the gnolls' combat prowess and potential use of dark magic, advising caution when its eyes glow red. The gnolls detect their presence, prompting Prince Alsis to instruct the heroes to stay back while he and the others handle the situation. Despite their apprehension, the heroes prepare themselves for the encounter. Choi Kangman reassures the group using his blessing of command to strategize. However, their confidence is shattered when the gnolls swiftly attack, overpowering them individually with their superior strength. Despite Yumora's attempts to use magic and her sword, she is thrown aside by the gnolls. Jang, feeling terrified like gnolls, calls out for help, but her charm blessing prevents her from harming her, bringing her relief. Prince Alsis arrives and swiftly dispatches the gnolls, bringing a sense of safety to the group. However, Jang Mayan remains jittery. Prince Alsis overhears discussions about heroes facing formidable opponents and possibly receiving God's blessing. Meanwhile, the devil, panting heavily, questions Kang about his ability to effortlessly subdue him. Kang responds with a request for death, to which the devil responds by unleashing his power. Kang is frustrated by the devil's actions, likening them to his experience with the outsider. He expresses gratitude for the devil's assistance in saving the chief out of pity, preventing his death from being meaningless. Kang confronts the devil, offering to either continue beating him or provide aid. The devil responds, acknowledging Kang's request as excessive, but mentions a formidable Saintess in the nearest city. Additionally, he reveals his inability to die without first getting married, which excites him. He proposes they head to the second closest city, offering to guide Kang there. Kang agrees, preferring to avoid the city where the goddess's lackey resides. As they journey, the devil reminds Kang of recent restrictions on knights' entry into the forest, necessitating a detour. He warns Kang of potential identity checks, which is a perilous situation for a demon. Kang accepts the risks, acknowledging the language barrier as an additional challenge. Meanwhile, the outsider god finds humor in Kang's predicament. In the jungle, Hanwoo walks with the girls from the mercenary guild, teasing him for his lack of knowledge about the world. Hanwoo thinks bathrooms aren't mentioned in novels, comics, etc. He remains silent, grateful for her help over the past 2 days. She suddenly mentions feeling uncomfortable with his intense staring, but Hanwoo assures her it's a misunderstanding, stating he prefers walking behind people. He smiles, feeling blessed that a beautiful girl like her is helping him. She approaches him, expressing shock at his earlier encounter with slime and calling him dumb, which makes Hanwoo a little scared. She warns him about entering orc territory and advises him to run errands in the village. Hanwoo agrees to be cautious. As the gods intensify their observation, Hanwoo feels confident about monopolizing their blessings while others progress slowly. However, his constant smiling creeps out the girl. She explains the Knoll's territory, a challenging place for a slime-ranked mercenary like him. Hanwoo discovers a new blessing granting bonus experience, feeling it's a risk worth taking as a main character. They arrive at their destination, where Hanwoo questions if it's the right place since there are no Knolls. The girl confirms and mentions something unusual happening in the forest. Hanwoo jokes about extraordinary incidents following him, confusing her. She finds it troublesome looking at the map, wishing they could quickly gather 5 right ears to proceed deeper into the forest. The girl suggests returning to the guild for more information, but Hanwoo insists they trust him for the moment. She questions his confidence, interrupted by a sudden Knoll's attack. Hanwoo defends himself while the girl charges at the Knolls with her sword. Realizing its tough armor, she suspects it's a named monster. After ensuring Hanwoo's safety, she identifies the Knolls as a powerful named One and urges Hanwoo to draw his sword. Hanwoo, seeing the Knolls for the first time, admits it's scarier than he imagined. Hanwoo, thinking she's joking, gets attacked by a Knoll with a stone, causing him to bleed from his mouth. Hanwoo faints from his injuries but later regains consciousness and asks about the Knolls. The girl reveals she takes care of them and tends to her own cut hand. Hanwoo is shocked and blames himself, but she reassures him it was her mistake. Meanwhile, Hanwoo, feeling furious, searches for a way to heal her through his status window. She calms him down, insisting it's not his fault. Suddenly, Hanwoo receives a mocking message from a god, injuring him. He retaliates, receiving a curse preventing him from phasing through objects. Hanwoo realizes the implications of the curse, feeling despondent. The girl notices his distress and suggests returning to the city, sensing danger in the forest. Hanwoo agrees, thinking the Sanctus can heal her arm there. He promises to take responsibility and fix her arm as the hero of legends. As Kang and Cosmos traverse the jungle, Kang asks about the demon's name. Cosmos reveals himself as the 23rd child of the 348th wife of the 14th Demon King. He explains Demon Society's different approach to hierarchy, where power determines rulership rather than royal lineage. Kang teases Cosmos about his seeming insignificance, which deeply upsets Cosmos. Kang tries to comfort him. Cosmos shares his nickname Moss, given by an old friend, and reminisces about being the 425th wife of the 7th Demon King, feeling regret for not congratulating her on the birth of her child. Kang empathizes with Cosmos, understanding the weight of societal expectations despite feeling burdened by his own situation in this fantasy world. Meanwhile, the outsider god urges Kang to swiftly depart from the dull forest, implying a sense of urgency in their journey. As Kang ponders the differing attitudes of gods towards fairies, humans, and demons, Cosmos interrupts, announcing their arrival at their destination upon spotting footprints. Kang acknowledges the news optimistically, but Cosmos warns him to remain vigilant as they approach the territory of the Night Kingdom's Sword Master. Curious about the territory and its inhabitants, Kang queries Cosmos, who reveals that it is also inhabited by orcs. Kang expresses anticipation, wondering if there are any formidable individuals among them. Cosmos cautions Kang, stating that orcs are on a different level compared to the Knolls he previously encountered. Upon reaching a cliff, Cosmos points out the orcs below. Observing the orcs, Kang remarks that they appear ordinary. However, one orc detects the scent of a nearby human, prompting Cosmos to blame himself for failing to conceal his glowing red eyes akin to Knolls. Despite his attempt to rectify the situation, Cosmos becomes angered at his oversight. As Kang observes the laid-back demeanor of the 10 orcs below, Cosmos attributes their nonchalant attitude to Kang's conspicuous display of wealth, which orcs view with disdain. Despite Cosmos' warning, Kang decides to approach them and jumps down from the cliff to initiate a conversation. Upon greeting the orcs, Kang is met with demands to surrender his possessions, accompanied by derogatory insults. Kang attempts to reason with them, but he quickly realizes their lack of intellect compared to Knolls. Recognizing his limited options, Kang resorts to decisive action, swiftly dispatching one orc with a dagger to the head.